I really want to build augmented intelligence and drive this movement forward because that's what I think a lot of people really want. You don't want to be subservient to artificial intelligence. You want to still be in control. You want to use this large language model tool as something to help you go faster, not something that you're going to defer your decision making and thinking to. We're building OpenAugie, AI for thinkers. I have an MVP in mind. The RFC is up on GitHub. I'm still trying to find the right balance between distilling the vision, trying to get a community going, capturing some of this attention we have right now, corralling the energy into something productive so we can keep moving forward. And if we point our focus on something narrow, we can push this forward very quickly. And I'm so excited to see where it goes. Tonight, I wanted to really talk about that idea of balancing forward thinking with pragmatism grounded in reality and what we can do today. And kind of something that's been really helpful to me in like reflecting on the past and what's working. And so I wanted to draw this out for you tonight. And again, this is like something I think of for building OpenAugie here, but also just in general, like how to work more effectively. Like if you think of, let me see if I can do this now. It's been a while since I used my touchpad here, so bear with me. But so if you have like this line, let's say this is the future. Oh, that is awful. This is now, because writing present's too much. This would be the past. So if that's what we have on a timeline, how should you spend your attention? How should you spend your time? I think most of the effort is in like this area, executing, right? Like that's what you need to do. You need to focus on how you can bridge the gap between this, like where you're at and what you know versus where you're going. So you spend time, as much time as you can, like trying to do the next step. Focus on what's coming. Not like if you're constantly stuck in the past, reflecting, ruminating, journaling, you're not getting anywhere. If you're constantly thinking of the future and dreaming and coming up with ideas, it's exciting and it's fun. But again, you're not getting anywhere. You need to always like circle things back to the now. It's like, what can I do today? What can I actually do to move forward? But that being said, I still think you spend 20% of your time on both the past and the future. And maybe it's like 80% of the time in this middle area. And again, I apologize for this handwriting. It's been a while since I used this trackpad, but it does feel like I'm in control, using a pen. Augment, stay human. But so in the past and in the future, what I like to do is two things really. We reflect and experiment. Oh boy, we'll make this better, but I don't want to spend too much time editing things. I want to spend more time working. So I'm sorry, this looks like a serial killer wrote it. You spend 80% of your time in the present, and then you spend 10% of your time thinking about the past, 10% of your time thinking about the future. And the way this looks in practice is like, for me, one day a week or one morning a week, I get about 90 minutes in the morning if I'm lucky, before the kids get up to have some focus time. And so one of those mornings, I do a weekly reflection where I'm looking back on the past week. What worked well? What didn't? What are my bottlenecks? How can I go faster? Do my priorities still hold? What kind of thoughts have been coming up throughout that week? What kind of patterns am I noticing? And that's the reflection. And then from that, I think, okay, what experiment can I try this week to go faster? What experiment can I try that might make things easier or just give me more information that I'm not getting? And so that one day a week reflection, that's been so helpful. I've been doing that for a couple months now with this particular structure. And I think I notice differences week to week. So that's worked really well. And then the future thinking, same thing. There's time to reflect and time to experiment. Now, this is a problem I have, especially as I get excited about this vision, is I might be spending too much time reflecting and thinking about ideas and where this could go and distilling the vision. And right now at this inception point of this project, maybe that's okay. And this just kind of comes naturally. Like anytime my mind is relaxed, it just starts to wander and race, come up with ideas. Like I'm sure it works for you. But like I need to balance that. And you need to balance that with execution because ideas are free. They don't matter. Really, like you can have the best ideas, you can change minds with ideas. And so it's kind of like a contradiction because an idea is a very powerful thing, but it also like doesn't mean anything at the same time. Like if the story motivates people to change, perhaps it matters. But when it comes to like building something, The ideas don't matter because you haven't built anything. So that's the problem I'm kind of facing right now. It's like trying to balance this reflection, this ideation phase with actually getting things done and bringing like this future closer to what I can do today. And so part of the future is to reflect. You ideate. And if you want to structure this into your schedule, I think of Richard Hamming's talk, You and Your Research, it was called, where he talks about every Friday afternoon, he blocked out the whole afternoon to think of big thoughts. What's important in his field? What are the biggest problems? Where are things going in his field? What is he working on the right things? And so if you're not already like overloaded with random ideas or thoughts about future vision stuff, you can take that time in your schedule to do that kind of big thoughts exercise. And that's a great talk by him, by the way, that I'll share in the description. And then in the future, do experiment. What I mean here is like taking in different diverse sources of information. You know, if you're interested in something, but it's not really related to your project, check it out. You spend some time, carve some time out, like say one day a week to read whatever's most interesting to you, because that's where you get this like cool ideas across fields, cross-pollinating and making connections you might not see that really moves progress forward. And I think there's so many examples like throughout history, throughout business of people that do that and bridge these gaps that maybe they didn't otherwise if they didn't have this diverse background. And if you've seen my video on stop niching down, for me, that this has been awesome because it's like permission to go be like a multi-potentialite, somebody who has diverse interests, but still explore those while staying grounded in what's important. So I apologize for this message wrong, but I do want to get that thought out there. And then there's one other thing I wanted to talk about tonight, which is this idea of mission first. And what I mean by that is, I think that's why I don't feel stressed about building Augie. If we build this open source or at least open core and find a way to monetize later, but if we start with open source, you're not competing against closed source people. You're not competing against full-time employees with funding because they're doing something different. When you have the mission first, you find like-minded folks, you find community, you find people that share that same problem. And that is so valuable. They give you good feedback. They motivate you to keep going. They help you build the product. And I've been overwhelmed with the response since my video a couple of weeks ago and connecting and trying to build this new community around augmented intelligence. It's really powerful. And I think if we align on the mission of what we're trying to do with locally owned private data, AI for people that want to think and stay in control, not defer their thinking to artificial intelligence, but rather make tools that support what they're doing, make tools that really amplify human cognition and are designed with that in mind. And not so much, let's just make the biggest algorithm we can, the biggest model with the most data, with the most compute, and just keep throwing money at the problem. Let's think more about like, what problems are we solving with this technology? And that's what I want to do. And so that's what I think mission first comes in, is like you have that dialogue with people. And that's the most important thing. And then comes the sustainability part, which, look, I don't want to say money is bad because right out of college, my first job, I was greedy. I was ambitious. I wanted to become a day trader to get rich. I loved the idea of leverage and being able to infinitely scale myself just by changing the number of shares I was using. And as I got good at that game of trading, I very quickly lost interest, and I very quickly, after losing interest, stopped performing well as a trader. And fortunately for me, I found programming at a younger age there. And so that was in the back of my mind, and I was able to pivot into that when my trading started to suffer. But anyway, that's just a personal rant about why, even though this is starting open source, there has to be a way to sustain it. And I think you need that balance. And I really like the Mozilla model, that like stewardship component where there's a corporation that works hand in hand with a nonprofit. But again, this kind of mission first, profit second, and thinking of business models and things like that is maybe me getting ahead of myself a little bit, but it's realistic because I really want to work on this open Augie concept. And I think the best way is to find some sort of sustainability in there to be able to do this for a while, because I am obsessed with this problem. I love the idea of augmented intelligence. I strongly believe it's the future of humanity, and it's our best path forward in adapting to AI. And if we ever build AGI, how else can we compete with it but being augmented ourselves? So with that, thank you so much for all the support. Keep the feedback coming. If you want to get involved, join the Discord, comment on this video, join us on GitHub. I'll be working on a prototype and this early vision of an MVP I want to build. Expect more about that in the next devlog. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. This has been a fun past few days, fun past few weeks, and a crazy year. So thank you so much. See you in the next one.